You have to play it by ear. Here's how I'd judge it. If, after treatment, the player and the physio both told me he was fine to carry on playing, then I'd say it would be fair to assume it wasn't a genuine medical incident, that he was in control of himself and that he deliberately denied an obvious goal. In those circumstances, I'd show him a red card and award a penalty. But if medical staff told me he could not carry on, I'd accept that it wasn't a deliberate handball and award a corner.
Welcome back to the Ref Show. Seconds out, round two, with Mark Halsey and Keith Hackett. We get on. Hey, by the way, we actually get on quite well.
We do.
Quite well.
We
really.
do.
Diego Costa's in the news, and it brings us into debate about the crackdown on something that was already there in the referee's armoury, which is yellow and red card if necessary for dissent. And so we've got a couple of instances in the Premier League of this over the weekend. Now, Costa could have been sent off for a second yellow, couldn't he? Earlier against West Ham.
He should have been.
Foul on the keeper.
I mean, weak referee. Absolutely weak referee. You know, if you're going to caution a player, there are two aspects that you look at. One, you're in his zone. If that player's in your zone or in his zone, i.e. they come towards you, or you're in their zone and they dissent, then that gives you license to give a yellow card. But don't go hunting.
He went on to score the winner in that West Ham game. He scored the winner against Watford, 2-1 on the weekend. John Moss was the referee. Now, he'd already been cautioned. Okay, this is for dissent. Mark, pick up the story.
I mean, but just you were talking about Anthony Taylor as well. I mean, going back to Costa in the first game at Chelsea West Ham. I talk about it, and I most probably bore people to tears about talking about it. But Anthony's recognition of careless and reckless was poor, and we're seeing too many cautions for careless challenges, and they're wrong in law. I mean, just going quickly back to Mike Dean's game, there was two cautions in that. I mean, the caution for Sterling was ridiculous. It was just, ridiculous. But it's really good to see that we are clamping down, we are getting strong on dissent, especially dissent by action. We saw it in, Costa was clearly cautioned. I mean, I think there are times you can manage dissent and there are times when you cannot manage dissent. And we saw yesterday, Harry Arter at Bournemouth, where he's gone straight in the assistant's face, clapping a decision, correctly cautioned. They're the ones we need to deal with.
If you're going to issue that first yellow, and I agree with you, in terms of dissent, I think it's great. Let's get it out of the game because, ultimately, we championed some junior referees, grassroots referees last year for getting assaulted for dissent, if you like, spectators and managers and everybody coming in. So I'm delighted they're taking that action. If you issue a yellow card and then you get a second cautionable offence, then you've got to issue that second yellow card. And in the case of Costa, on both occasions, both games...
This is a dive we're talking about at Watford.
This is the dive on the second one. I mean, it's the clearest act of simulation that I have ever seen, I have ever witnessed. Everybody in the ground knows what he's done, the players know what he's done, and for a player to get away with that sends absolutely the wrong signal in the game.
You're always against, overreacting to simulation, and if there's a doubt and that, don't do anything, you say.
I do, and I'm a great one, as Keith knows, he appointed me to many games of managing the game and managing the players. But when it is as blatant, and I always do say, don't go looking for trouble, but in this instance, it was so blatant, you just cannot manage that event. And John Moss was weak. He wasn't brave to go and issue a second yellow card. But also pleasing for me is with Craig Pawson, he did do it, he was brave, and the Bournemouth manager came out and said, we've got to look at ourselves because we've been told about this dissent. Our discipline let us down. That's why we lost the game, through his players' discipline. How refreshing is that coming out?
Well said, Eddie Howe.
Craig Pawson, by the way, Alan, had a really good game. I think he put a little bit more physical effort. I'd still like to see him penetrate the penalty area on occasions. I think he just drifts a bit. He drifts to the right. I think he just needs to keep on the path of improving his sprinting speed because he's got the foundation of a good decision maker.
And there's a referee, I think, that 8 out of 10, his recognition of careless and reckless is excellent. But what did you think to Byram with the two instances within seconds where he could have issued two yellow
Yes, he
cards.
could.
Managed it well.
He did, and you know, look, I think he's maturing, and he's maturing and developing in the right way. He's a referee for the future. I'm delighted because he's a Sheffield lad. I might be slightly biased, but I've given him as much stick as anybody. But I am seeing changes, and I've seen the start of the season, solid foundation, get on with it, and let's see the progress from him, and let's see his rise up UEFA.
Yeah. What I'd like to see him just emulate Mark Clattenburg's his movement and his positioning.
Well, I've said that. Yeah. I think Clattenburg is the master at that.
Okay, Clattenburg's game, a real biggie for his return to the Premier League was Leicester against Arsenal, finished 0-0, but two really tight, really big penalty calls in that. He got one right and one wrong, it would seem. At the end.
I mean, he's had a tough week. He was out in Romania at the Lugarats game in the Champions League qualifier. So that takes you a lot out of you. And I actually thought he refereed very well. I mean, I thought that the drink war, when I watched it, I thought, that's a penalty. And then when you see it and slow it down, you can say, well, you know, he's got that right. I mean, fantastic. So I thought he refereed the game well. The incident at the end, my personal opinion, I know he's a good friend of mine, and I've got to say, I thought that was a penalty. I have to say, I thought that was a penalty. What about you, Keith?
Yeah, I thought it was a penalty also.
Everybody's in agreement, folks.
Yeah, I thought it was a penalty. You know, but he is, without question, the world's #1 referee.
But I just looking at it, you've got to say to yourself, how perhaps has Mark not seen that as a penalty? Because he's in a wonderful position. He's right there. I just think perhaps he felt that perhaps he's initiated the contact, or he's tripped himself up, or stood on the ball. And if you're not 100%,
don't give it.
Don't give it.
And that's the, you know, if I was having a post-match discussion with Mark, and he said I was unsure, I'd support him.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Martin Atkinson, he seems to be in good form. Again, I think his first game back, you know, maybe this season, am I wrong?
It's his second one.
It's his second one, but I think in his first game, perhaps, you know, is a difficult one for a referee coming off the kind of summer they've had, right up there in terms of adrenaline.
I think, you know, again, we were critical of Martin the beginning of last season and the season before. He's come on. I think he's now showing the maturity, confidence, and that is about his movement, because he's certainly a fitter guy than he was in previous seasons, and credit to him. He's now got the confidence. You can see that in his game. He's managing players, and he's staying out of trouble.
Top marks from Guy Beale on RefCam for Middlesbrough's win at Sunderland for the referee.
Yes, absolutely right.
He's done well. And as always say to young referees watching, you know, this show, and I always say, don't go looking for trouble, because trouble will find you.
Less than 2 minutes left. Referees pay. You raised it, Keith, with a blog on the website. It's become a national issue. 2 newspapers have taken it up. I think the Daily Star and the Daily Mirror. They've done follow-ups. Incredibly, perhaps, there's been a lot of support for your argument that refs should get more. Almost 90% agreed on the Daily Star website. First of all, that surprises me that there's so much support.
Well, first thing I'd like to ask Keith, of coming out of all this extra pay, why on earth didn't he sort out when he was in charge and I was refereeing?
Well, I think
hey? And all of a sudden retired and now he wants to pay him more.
Well, no, I think in terms of PGMOL, I always put forward the view that referees should be paid more. The thing is about the package. It's when these guys retire, are they getting sufficient pension rights, all those sort of things. But ultimately, it's down to the fact that these guys are an important facet to the game. They play an important part. I think that often they go, if you like, they take a bit of stick from the media, take some stick from us, and we praise them. It is a difficult job. It gets more and more difficult with media input and all that goes with it. And I think earning less than 100k is nowhere near what it should be.
What should it be?
I think $250,000.
Okay, Glenn Turner said that last week,
yeah,
actually.
well,
250 minimum, he said. What do you reckon, Mark?
I'm still refereeing if that comes in. But I mean, I think he's right. I mean, all the money they've got now, I think they should be getting that sort of money. I mean, I believe that the PGMOL have got over 50 odd staff working for them.
Ignoring that, it is about, look, what a player's earning, what a manager's earning. They're in the millions, and you know they'll argue, well, not everybody. Just a minute, these guys are Premier League referees. They're out there managing millionaires, and it's a very skillful job. We already recognise there's a limited resource. Pay them the right sort of money.
And I do know they get, when they retire now, they get a really good figure
Well,
when they
it's
retire.
not a good figure, Mark.
Well, it's not, but it was from when we finished. You know,
I
it should
could
be
argue.
more.
Look, I got
Should be a lot
35.
more.
I got 35 quid for refereeing the cup final, or a medal. I chose the medal. Put it in perspective. Times have changed. Players used to earn £7 a week. They're now earning 700,000 or whatever the figure is. It's massive. Players are out. Referees are out of step.
Brilliant, thanks guys. And what everybody's in agreement with is more money for Ref Show panellists. They're all putting their hands up for that.
Yes, please. Hey,
And presenters.
where's our director? Oh, he's on holiday. We'll have a word when he comes back.
Thanks for your company. Thanks to these chaps. As ever, it's been really lively this week. See you next week. Bye.